Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore. How are you doing, Joe?
That's surprisingly less shocking when not on headphones.
I think it's because you can feel the actual force of it as opposed to it just being the sound. Because there's a change in atmosphere when the welcome back hits. I know, I'm aware. Anyways, hi. I'm not actually sure if we're going to finish timelines in this episode. Really? So, okay. We're going to jump right into it. Basically, we last left off everything. Carrick was in a time chasm, essentially. Urza was trying to figure out a way to defeat it. Jhoira was upset at him, but she was also friends with Karn and Teferi. And are you okay?
Yeah, I thought we were doing hand motion.
No, we're just Team Skull.
I was copying your choreography.
So, basically, what winds up happening is that Urza sends in a bunch of drones to try and take Carrick out. But the thing is, Urza was just thinking, okay, this is going to be good. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, it's going to be awesome. But it doesn't really work out because Carrick wanted metal. Indeed. So basically, Carrick was able to lure the drones down and destroy them, and then he gets the metal. Now, at different points throughout this time, even up until this point, Urza has put various people at danger, including himself. Jhoira wound up in a coma before she got the idea on how to get everything fixed for Teferi to be able to be free, essentially. There was also the point where Urza was himself captured, and he was continuously tortured until they managed to free him. He almost died. Now, all that said, they did eventually get to the point where Urza just said, everything's good here. Baron, you're in charge. I'm going to go now. And so he left. Because he knew that he had a plan for a special ship that would be able to go between universes, essentially, between planes, and fight the Phyrexians at different strategic points. But he would need to be able to create something that could actually do that.
Karn.
No.
Oh.
See, basically, he designed a ship, but it was going to require Thran metal. So he went to Shiv and was like, hey, I found a foundry. This would be great. Too bad I need people to work on it. And then the Vyoshino attacked him, the goblins attacked him, and dragons attacked him. He made a deal with all three tribes, including the Shivan dragons, and said, hey, we'll all work together to stop the Phyrexians.
Basically like, I could blow you up right now, so you can work for me, or die.
Yeah, but kind of. I mean, Urza definitely had to show his strength and his resolve, essentially, in order to convince them. But it also was able to broker a peace between these groups that had always been trying to kill each other. So,
peace doesn't sound like Urza.
It's true. It's for the greater destruction. So basically, after that happens, Urza's like, I did a good job. Now I have those power stones and metal. I'm gonna go.
That's my good deed for the year.
Yeah, for the decade.
To go be a jerk to my students.
He actually goes to Yawgmoth, and he's like, okay, now that I got that, I need to get the wood to be able to create the ship. The problem is, in order for me to get that wood, it needs to be living wood. So he goes and he looks in Yawgmoth and he finds Multani, and he's like, hey, Multani, buddy, pal, you want to give me some wood so that I can make a ship so that we can kill Phyrexians? And Multani's like, why are you here? You killed an entire forest because of a petty squabble between brothers.
It's like, that was a millennium ago.
He goes, let bygones be bygones. He's like, no! I'm going to turn you into a tree. And so he turns Urza into a tree.
Oh, no.
And for 3 years, Urza is trapped inside of a tree, and he's being forced to experience the pain an entire forest felt during the Silex blast.
Oh, no.
And so Urza basically dissociates, and he completely is out of it, and he's just experiencing everything as a forest. Firsthand. And
Urza's basically Rick Sanchez.
Yeah. He's turned himself into a pickle. So, essentially, Multani's there, and he's like a jailer, essentially. But Baron is freaking out because the Phyrexians have figured out a way to breach the time stream. They got out of the time bubble because they had enough metal. And so, after all this time, they come up and they start slaughtering students. And so Baron basically does the whole Nick Fury hitting the beeper thing, and is like, we need your help right now, show up. And when he sets off the beacon, it basically knocks Urza out of his trance. And he goes, I have to go back. I have to go save them. But Multani's like, nah, I'm not through with you. I don't care about whatever junk you got going on. I need you to suffer. So Multani basically forces his mind inside of Urza's to force him to not planeswalk there. But Urza, obviously being Urza, planeswalks anyways.
It's like, I'm inside your mind. Okay.
Yeah, but basically what happens as a result of that is that Multani is now basically inside of Urza's head, seeing everything unfold.
Zombie.
But
Zombie.
So-
Zombie. A.
with their tanks and their bombs and their guns. And okay, so basically what happens is that
It's a song.
yes, it's a song. But what happens is that Multani sees the Phyrexians. He sees the horrors of Phyrexia, slaughtering innocent life, and he sees that Urza's actually fighting to try and protect all this life, all these other things. And at this point, Dominaria actually still had forests. They were mainly palm trees, but they were forests anyways. And so he's seeing that Urza's doing everything he can to try and save everything.
It's like, oh, you're not a bad guy. Just like, let's go with that.
Yeah, pretty much. But then Urza actually goes into the time bubble where the Phyrexian like nerve center is with Carrick. And Carrick starts savagely beating Urza because he has hundreds of years of experience against Urza. As far as like when they both met, right?
Uh-huh.
And so Carrick is winning. And it's at this point that Multani's like, okay, I understand what's going on here. And he gives his power to Urza. And then Urza's actually able to defeat Carrick. Which is awesome.
Sounds really cool.
And it's not enough there because Multani basically recognizes it. And this is the end of Carrick at this point. He's defeated. And then all of his troops are up on top, out of the chasm. Multani animates all of the palm trees and the forests of Dominaria, and they all kill the Phyrexian negators that are still up there. It's ridiculous, and I love it. So yeah, that's how that little arc ends.
Multani's the hero of
Yeah,
the Carrick War thing.
Multani's the one who actually defeats Carrick. Yeah, Urza helped, but Multani's the only reason that everything kind of like came together in the end. And he didn't even try to be there. He just kind of realized how evil everything else was around them. And so he knows that Urza can deal with that. Now the problem is that now that Urza has his frame, he has the power source, he needs the ability to actually planeswalk. Yeah.
Why doesn't he have the ability to planeswalk?
He has the ability, but his ship doesn't.
Oh.
The ship he wants to create does not have that ability yet. So, how's he going to do it?
Doesn't sound good.
So Urza needs to get the ability to planeswalk, but that would require just an incredible amount of mana. Because back then, this was before the mending, if you had enough mana, anyone could planeswalk.
Oh.
That was the whole reason why the Phyrexians were such a huge threat.
You
Because
need to tell me about the mending sometime.
the mending will definitely come up. There's like 100% chance that within the next like 5 years we are covering the mending.
Okay.
Like the entirety of it. It's so good. That was basically, anyways, not right now. So basically what happens is that Urza's like, okay, I know exactly where to go. I'm going to go talk to an old friend in their own plane and get their help. Because I know that they have an artificial plane that they'll be willing to possibly help me with. So he goes to Serra's realm.
Oh.
In the past, Urza went to Serra's realm with Xantcha, the Phyrexian, and they basically did not leave on the best of terms. Because of what Urza did, it caused Phyrexians basically to show up in Serra's realm, which is an artificial plane made entirely of white mana. Phyrexians in this not in this continuity at this point in time are black mana based.
Yes.
With some splintering off of the colors, but basically core black. So basically, by going there, the diametrically opposed mana colors were causing the plane to freak out. It got so bad that Radiant just decided, you know what, I'm done with this place. Not Radiant, sorry, Serra. And left Radiant in charge. Radiant is an archangel. And Radiant essentially thinks like, okay,
We actually know what's going to happen if you've watched the legendary lore for Commander Legends.
that is true. Yes, exactly. So basically during this point in time, Urza shows up and Radiant does not trust him at all. And there's this guy named Gorig who's basically been whispering in Radiant's ear all this time, telling her like, oh, there's this and there's that and there's this. And Gorig gives her these special soul torches they glow yellow whenever there's a Phyrexian nearby. Which is super helpful because if it glows yellow, then they can just kill those Phyrexians, and then the Phyrexian souls get sucked into the thing to charge up everything.
Yeah.
Except that Gorig is a Phyrexian agent.
No.
And so, basically, those soul lanterns are not glowing with the Phyrexians, they're glowing when they're just normal people. And so the angels go on these purification routes where they just go off into the areas of Serra's realm and slaughter innocent villages and suck their souls into the lanterns. And Radiant's doing this over and over and over and over again. And Urza leaves and he comes back, he tries to reason with her, it doesn't matter. So he actually steals some of these soul lanterns with all this white mana, focused white mana inside of them, to try and charge up the Weatherlight somewhat. Because he knows that the way things are going, the plane is going to implode. Nothing can be sustained the way that it is at the moment. It's destroying itself.
There's that classic Urza.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, well, we can't save the plane. We could try. We're doing something else right now. But we could try to save the plane. Or use the destruction in our favor.
Yeah. So basically, he goes and he powers up the Weatherlight so that he can make tiny jumps between Serra's realm and Dominaria. And he picks up, basically, Serran refugees, puts them on the Weatherlight, crams them on, planeswalks back, drops them off, and goes back and keeps doing this. But the problem is that Radiant is extremely upset because she thinks that Urza is a Phyrexian sympathizer. Because he's kidnapping all these Phyrexians that she wanted to destroy and is now taking them. So it's like, oh no, he's rescuing the Phyrexians. He must be a Phyrexian too. And Gorig's like, yes, he is. And so Radiant is now sending all of her angels, her Serra angels, to attack Urza and Baron and everybody there. And they're fighting them off. And at this point, Urza just goes to Shiv and he grabs one of the dragons. And now he just teleports with the dragon to the Serra's realm. So you have a giant Shivan dragon slaughtering angels.
I like how planeswalking was that fast back then too.
Yeah, it didn't require as much thought because you were essentially godlike in power.
Because like when we think of planeswalkers now, it's just like, okay, they gotta jump through the blind eternities to get where they gotta go. They gotta make sure they know where they're going, not get lost. Might run out of air. Might.
Yeah, it's very taxing on their.
Describing just like he's here, he's there, he's there, he's there.
Yeah, it's also Urza's he's an Avengers level threat. Like he is just a crazy power level planeswalker too.
That's true. Bolas probably could have done stuff.
Yeah, Bolas definitely has also done things like that as well.
Like the Fairly Odd Parents proof for your planeswalker.
Yeah, basically. And with Urza, obviously, if you scramble up his brain like Carrick was doing to him, it makes it hard to be able to planeswalk because you need to focus still.
It's like we see planeswalkers escape, but we don't hear them get into their destination instantly because that's not what they do nowadays.
Yeah, it's not an instantaneous kind of deal. And of course, characters like Liliana, she was an old walker too. But now, even thanks to the mending, she can't just go to Strixhaven, get banished to the swamp, and then planeswalk back.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, so stuff like that is indicative of like how just planeswalkers are weaker now. But at the time, Urza basically gets a giant dragon, and the dragon helps the fight. And at this point, he's named the ship the Weatherlight. Yes. Now, the problem with all of this is that Radiant, obviously, is a very angry angel lady. And it's really brutal. So, Gara Daragaz, which is the name of the giant Shivan dragon, gets killed by Radiant. And Radiant challenges Urza, and Urza's like, I'ma kill you! And she just shoves her hands into his eyes and rips out the power stones and is like, I have the power. She goes back to Serra's palace and she tries to combine them. When she does that, she explodes and obliterates the palace, and Urza's back. And Urza's like, well, that was unpleasant. And he goes, tells Baron, Teferi, Karn, and Jhoira, let's get out of here.
Did you say Urza's back? Spider-Man 2?
Yes. So basically, they go away, the Weatherlight goes away. Urza takes the collapsing plane and puts it inside of the Weatherlight. So the Weatherlight's power source is essentially just the Serran realm. Yeah, that's what makes it so strong and so powerful and capable of actually planeswalking. Because it has basically a mana battery. Now, with that said, this book, Timelines, actually ends showing that Jhoira is the captain of the Weatherlight. Karn is essentially the head engineer.
What happened to Sisse?
She's not born yet.
What?
Yeah.
How
Exactly.
long is this story? Seriously?
And Teferi,
It's a big bookshelf, Ricky.
yeah, it is. It's a very big bookshelf of books that I have. But Teferi is in Jhoira, and he's trying to solve a civil war that's happening on that continent. So,
Why does he sound like Star Wars names now? I told him to stay on Naboo.
it's a little messed up. So yeah, basically, that is how Timelines ends. The next part is essentially two different stories that happen roughly in the same general timelines. You have Bloodlines, which is the next step in Urza's story, and then you have Mirage Block, which is the next stage. It's
Teferi.
Visions and Mirage and all that stuff. Yeah, it's Teferi's story. So, I'm not entirely sure what we're covering next, but we will.
But it's something. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to go ahead and catch you guys next time with some more legendary lore. Go ahead and leave a like if you like the video. Subscribe for the rest of Dominaria. It'll come, and then we're going to see some new Dominaria.
Yeah!
Yeah!
Yeah.
Bye, guys.